and welcome to the 2025 JSRA season.
What a race this has been. But there is Dominic Charles now sitting in the slipstream of the Australian, maybe trying to see if he can force a mistake.
Oh, what a move by Moss on the outside of Jaden Harrison.
Olem Kimani as the fans are out and about. John just closing off the gap to the Trinidadian.
2, 1, go. Fast, sharp right. Fast, sharp right. Sharp right. Sharp right. Listen. Sammy.
Hello and welcome to Thruxton Circuit for the opening round of Tour 2 in the 2025 Caribbean Touring Car Championship for the 2025 season. We're here at the fastest track in the UK, 3.8 kilometers of pure adrenaline where commitment and courage separate the contenders from the pretenders. Thruxton is known for its blistering pace and flowing corners, with drivers spending nearly the entire lap on the throttle from the first flick through Allard to the fearless charge through Church. It's a circuit that punishes hesitation and rewards bravery. After a very dramatic end to the first tour, the champion resets and a fresh chase for glory begins. Will last season's top drivers strike first, or will new challengers emerge? Last season's final standings did result with Estefano Barrero taking the W in P1, taking the top prize of the Tour 1, finishing off in Melbourne Circuit, followed by Rohi Robinson, the driver racing for the JSRA. Alongside him is Jaden Harrison, second and third, coming out on the final podium spot. Dominic Charles did finish in the fourth prize pool finishing position. Daniel Velez in fifth. Raven Plomo finished in sixth. Christian Gomez in sixth. And Kyle Barrett being the final Jamaican in the mix for those prize pools at the end of that season. But the CTCC Tour 2 calendar is now official and about. Ladies and gentlemen, we have today starting April 25th at the Thruxton Circuit, followed by Donington Park on May 2nd, May 9th the Popular Brands Hatch, followed by 1 week later May 16th the Spa from Kishamps, and that one we will be aligning ourselves with the WEC. So that is our first endurance of the season, and we're very much so looking forward to it. That will be our 1 hour WEC special. We'll take a week break after that and then return on May 30th at Sonoma Raceway Circuit, followed by our next endurance at Road America on June 6th, which will be again another 1 hour event, followed by the round 7 at Mid Ohio in America on June 13th, and then the finale will be a final 1 hour endurance event at the fan favorite Sebring Racing Circuit. This evening we do have my apologies, quite a few new drivers in the midst, and boy are we excited to see who is to come out. We have a few new liveries and overlays as well to look forward to. So ladies and gentlemen, we are hoping that you will definitely enjoy the production here this evening. Alongside me is typically Mark Ryu, and we will give a huge shout out to him over there at his on his Twitch channel at MarkRio45, but unfortunately he will not be able to partake in this evening's race, but he will be back as soon as he can. We're riding along board now with Rohir Robinson, who is sporting that JSRA League new theme sponsor livery. Again, a huge shout out to our sponsors from last season 7 Mile Racing, Emmanuel Boutique, and Ceramic Care, where you can get all of your ceramic care coating. But yes, this season is promising to be very epic, to say the least. I actually am quite anxious to say, to be honest, because we have some returning drivers: Estefano Barrero, Dominic Charles, and Daniel Velez, 3 drivers who definitely like their steps on the podium, but the Jamaicans did void a lot of their opportunities last season, so we are looking forward to see what can happen there. We have Kadeem Mohammed, Raven Plummo, who was promising in last season, but unfortunately did not have enough time in enough of our races to finish off and finish in the top, but she is going to be one that we'll be looking forward to. Riley Curtis as well of AC Karting in that BMW. He himself is somebody that you should be looking out for. He was one of those drivers that were promoted to the silver class drivers, so definitely looking forward to see what he can do. Estefano was another one of those that were promoted. He's on the hard tires here, but not on any hot laps at the moment. 1:16.9 is his best time. 1:15.3 set by Dominic Charles already on the hard tire, and he's still on the hunt for time here this evening. He is driving that Toyota Corolla right there, right in front of Mr. Rohir Robinson, who you can see running on the inside. That isn't them racing, that's just them putting as much time on the track. And there you go, one corner they overtake and the next is for the other driver. But something to take into consideration here, ladies and gentlemen, the slipstream is going to be absolutely epic here, and especially with the new changes to the cars that we've implemented for the season. We've tried to get a more realistic feeling in the overall quality of the cars. So we will go over briefly a few of those changes in a moment's time. Starting with the front wheel drive cars, we've decreased the rear anti-roll bar stiffness for a more stable default setup for the drivers. We realize that with the stiffness in it before did leave the rear of the vehicle feeling a little bit antsy, so drivers are losing it, and you know, need a little bit more extra help and practice for the drivers. So we have reduced the stiffness in the rear anti-roll bar, as well as we've reduced the rear wing default setting, so the top speed will be increased for the front wheel drive cars. For the rear wheel drive cars, we've increased the front and the rear anti-roll bar stiffness to improve the stability. We've also reduced the rear wing angle default value and reduced the weight back to 1250 from 1255. We've also added rear toe adjustment to the setup for the drivers to enjoy. We have a returning driver, Mr. Massive himself, fan favorite, one of our favorite here at the JSRA. His best time so far 1:15.849, and he's one that we will definitely be looking forward to seeing as he drives out that Ford Focus, seeing him go out on track there. So definitely looking forward to his performances here this evening. We have 3 Jamaicans, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. 1 Trinidad driver in P1 by a very good margin, about 5/10 from P2, but we know Rohir and Jaden are ones that typically like to sandbag it, as well as Daniel Velez, who I'm not seeing. Oh, there he is. He is out on track. His best time hasn't been set as yet, but his last lap, although invalid, was a 1:16.2, so his time should be popping up sooner than later. But yeah, as you can see there, 1:15.3 Dominic Charles. This is a practice session. We have qualifying starting in about 10 minutes. We will be starting with the bronze class drivers. As you know, we have the split qualifying, and there goes Daniel Velez with a 1:16.9, but again, that's not indicative of his pace, as he was lower in the 16s before the servo had reset. But that being said, we have 10 minutes to go. You can see it on the top left of the screen, ladies and gentlemen, and again, a huge excitement for our new overlays. Looking forward to see how it will play out during the season. Again, though, we have live stewarding starting next week. We have Nicholas Donald, who you've gotten so accustomed to seeing on track, but now will be helping us out as he's not currently accessible to his simulator. So we'll definitely be looking forward to him coming back and helping out with the live stewarding this evening. Or maybe not this evening, but for this season. My apologies. And another huge update to our overlays. We just want to point out in the bottom right of your screen, looking very much like Formula 1, because it is the Formula 1 qualifying overlay, so it will help you to follow along better with the qualifying session. As you can see, Jaden Harrison's time being now compared to the fastest car on track, which is Mr. Dominic Charles. So as you could see there, 4/10 down coming out of sector 2, but this will be a huge improvement on our previous overlays to kind of keep you guys a little bit more up to date. But yes, as we said, we have 8 minutes remaining in this practice session. Then we will start our qualifying session, and it will be 10 minutes for the bronze class drivers, followed by 10 minutes for the silver class drivers. This is the Thruxton Circuit. Looking forward to seeing what the drivers have in store, and as you can see, the sandbags will be dropping sooner than later. Jaden Harrison and Rohir Robinson typically are racing against each other there. Jaden now putting on a 1:15.699, so about 3 or 4 tenths off of the pole sitter. Well, not pole sitter at the moment, but the fastest time on track. But yes, Jaden Harrison and Rohir Robinson, you see them in the same livery, just labeled differently. Those two drivers will be representing the JSRA, and we have implemented a team championship here this season, and this is going to be where you're seeing more and more drivers coming in together to work together for the overall championship and even quality of racing between each other. So Jaden Harrison and Rohir Robinson and Daniel Velez and Estefano Barrera are 2 teammates so far, and as the season progresses, we should see more and more teammates coming through and uplifting each other and seeing where. Right there where you just saw, ladies and gentlemen, by that chicane, that's going to be a very tricky place, especially during the race when the racing gets close, because sometimes you can be closed out so easily. We've seen it in the past where drivers had to take evasive maneuvers and go around the tire barrier, which is not necessarily allowed, because if you do that, you have to concede back the position or you will be reprimanded at the end in the post-race stewarding. So definitely something that the drivers will have to take into consideration and look in the next few moments. But we have about 6 minutes remaining until qualifying, ladies and gentlemen. We'll just take a quick look at some of the other drivers. Right now we have Raven Plummer, 1:16.7, not setting her fastest lap on track as yet, but just as we have her coming across the line, we'll take a look at one of the new releases for the season, our new Subaru. And maybe not the best sign, because as soon as we stepped onto that Subaru, we now have it heading back to pits, and there you can see it is rear wheel drive. It is not all wheel drive, so it follows the TCR concept, and this is going to be very fun. I think it's one of the best sounding cars, and I am a Mitsubishi Evolution man, so that does say a lot. But it is very... Oh, there you have it. It is a very wonderfully sounding car, so looking forward to seeing what it can do in the next few moments once qualifying has begun. But we have Folly from Folly Racing. He will be making his debut here in the JSRA and looking to see where he can set his time afloat. And that is Cooper Folly, my apologies. We have quite a few new names. We have Leroy Henry, who's now sitting in P15. We have returning driver Christian Gomez, now sitting in P13. We have returning drivers Kadeem Mohammed, some a favorite here, especially in the LMU series that we have coming up. So looking forward to seeing what he can do. Fernando Gonzalez as well, now sitting in P18. but just drivers getting their laps in and doing as much as possible to gain as much of an advantage here. 5 minutes remaining in the practice session. Looking forward to seeing, ladies and gentlemen, what is to come. And as always, a huge shout out to our fans out in the chat. Alec Whitehawk, always a pleasure to see you, brother. God bless you as always. It is a good time to remind that the drive of the day voting will be open once the race has begun, and we'll be counting all of the drive of the day voting for the different drivers. We do have a sponsorship alert from 7 Mile Racing, so the winner at the end of the series with the most drive of the day votes will be receiving as you see Daniel Velez there using as a little bit of that sausage curb and going a little bit 2 wheels on. But yes, the most drive of the day votings for the season will receive complimentary of 7 Mile Racing a brand new pair of sim racing gloves. Some more information will be posted on that on our social media, so we are all looking forward to what can come this season. We have promises for sponsorship again for the season from a few entities, but once everything has been confirmed, we will make all of our announcements on our social media. So again, as always, we implore you guys, if you do want to get into racing with us, please feel free to reach out to us on Instagram, reach out to us on our Discord community, which we've now eclipsed 2,000 members. So that is a huge accomplishment for us here at the team, and something that we've really enjoyed for the majority of this duration of this run. But that being said, we have about 3 minutes remaining until qualifying has begun. I'm going to just join the room with the drivers and have them prepared and ready for what is to come. We do have a new BOP system as well, a new success ballast system. So the assignment will start from, instead last season we did start with 60 kilograms and we went down by 6 kilogram increments, but this season we will be doing first place with 50 kilograms and going down by 5 per position all the way down to 10th place. There is also a 10 kilogram ballast for the BOP ballast for the front wheel drive cars here, as they tend to have a little bit more traction going through the corners and being able to use up more of the curbs than the rear wheel drives. So we will definitely be, well, they will, I want to say unfortunately, as you can see, they're still even very much so maintaining the lead there with Dominic Charles with a 115.3, but the straights they'll feel it a little bit, but in the corners they already have a good advantage. So at the end of race 1 we will implement the success ballast from P1 to P10, and looking forward to what is to come, ladies and gentlemen. Qualifying begins in under 2 minutes. Again, a huge shout out to in the chat to Mark Rio 45. Again, Mark will not be participating this evening, so you have my voice to deal with for the duration of this race, but I will do my best to keep it as tip-top shape as best as possible and keep the racing exciting. As you see Dominic Charles there in that Toyota Corolla, which is very interestingly themed. If you do like anime, that is one of the popular animes. I will admit I'm not the best with it, so I won't even try and butcher any names. But that being said, Dominic is sporting that livery, the Jamaica livery as well, driven by Rohir Robinson and Jaden Harrison in that Hyundai Elantra. Next up, we'll take a look at Mr. Estefano and Daniel Velez there, as practice now does come to a conclusion. But this is the livery for the Colombian team Nova Racing, and they did win the overall championship last season, coming out in P1. There was Estefano Daniel Velez finishing up in P5, JSRA sitting right beside them. So just like in Formula 1, you just line them up by the place finishing. That's not actually how this works in Assetto Corsa, but it's just a very good coincidence. But right there is, I believe, Mr. Robinson, who is right in the smack dab of both Toyota Corollas from Nova Racing. So this is going to be interesting to say the least. Looking forward to the battles to come. Ladies and gentlemen, qualifying will begin with the bronze class drivers in only a moment's time. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back with qualifying. Right now we have Cooper Foley, who is starting the qualifying session off this evening. He is looking rapid for bronze class. He does have the fastest sector 1 so far, and we'll keep abreast of this as the qualifying goes on. But right now he's looking very promising to take pole position for the bronze class, but there is somebody right behind, definitely seeing if he can make a note of that, and that is Leroy Henry. But right now Cooper does look very promising to take this pole position. 25.9 for sector 1 versus a 26.0 for Leroy Henry. So this one looks like it's going to be close, because Leroy is actually 3/10 quicker than Cooper Foley right in front. But as Cooper comes through the final chicane here now to head down on the straight, uses up that sausage curb, comes down the start finish line, 1:16, 1:17, 1:79 for the bronze class. That is his banker lap, and Leroy should be coming up right behind. And looks like he messed up sector 3 terribly, as he is almost 3 seconds, sorry, 1 second off. But Kadeem Mohammed as well and Christian Gomez do separate the two, and the qualifying has begun. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 6 class drivers in the bronze class trying to make it out this evening. Tizwanta Aji should be the only other driver that should be out on track, but not seeing him out. But yeah, that being said, we'll just continue to ride along board. Cooper Foley again with a very decent sector 1 now with a 25.7 41, so that was about 3 or 4 tenths quicker, as well as sector 2 setting a blaze 22.522. so he's looking very good here to cement his position here for the bronze class. We have about 6 minutes remaining in this session. Drivers are not allowed to press back to pits, so if you haven't fueled enough, then that will be to your detriment. But right now, if you look in the bottom right, as you see Foley coming through the final corner, he does get a good run there to come around to sector 3, 117.3.11. 117.311, my apologies. And then there goes Leroy Henry to take P2 from Christian Gomez. Christian Gomez now coming around as well, but he is in the pits, it seems. No, he's not, sorry, a little mistake there from the commentary. But alright, Kadeem Mohammed now is as well P4, so P1 to P4 separated by about a second, as we see Adriano making his debut here, puts it in P5 with a 119.892. Fernando Gonzalez and Thankai Adriano and Cooper Foley and Leroy Henry are the 4 new rookies to the JSRA. So ladies and gentlemen, just give a good shout out to them in the chat, let them feel welcome. Looking forward to seeing what they can bring out here this evening. Just double checking, is the audio any better in the chat? So you can just give us a quick answer so that I know if we need to adjust anything there. But just seeing your comments, Mr. Harrison, thank you for that. We have about 4 minutes remaining in this qualifying session for the bronze class. 117.293 for the AC karting driver, now sitting in P1, continuing his demand for P1. 1.5 seconds is Kadeem Mohammed off of the pace of P1. 6 tenths for Adriano. So Adriano isn't looking too far off the pace. It's just to put everything together and gain that lap time. 118.514. His sector 3 seems to be his biggest issue, but Cooper Foley was dethroned by Mr. Gomez there, but Cooper Foley is not giving it up as yet, because he has set a purple sector 1 about 2 tenths down in sector 2, so he is looking good, and this time is being compared, as you can see in the bottom right, to Mr. Christian Gomez there in P1 at the moment. The Colombian driver now holding provisional pole for the bronze class drivers. Please be reminded that we did see times going down to about 115, so as he comes around that final chicane in that Subaru, comes around the start finish stretch, 117 did not, well, he did improve, but not enough to be promoted, and now sits in P2 right behind Mr. Christian Gomez. So right now P1 and Kadim Mohammed, the Bajan driver, now puts in the fastest lap so far with a 1:16.633, and his final sector 3 was the one that did him forward for that lap time. So amazing job for him there to snatch that position away from the driver. But yes, thank you for the updates with the audio, and we'll continue to keep updated there as we go along. Calbert there should be on track, but unfortunately did have some work to finish, so hopefully we'll see him again in by next week. All pressure to him there. And we see Justino, the #1 fan of Mr. Dominic Charles. I had the pleasure of meeting them both as I did travel to Trinidad last week, and what an amazing set of persons that they were, and looking forward to seeing what performance Dominic can put on for my new adopted home in Trinidad. But that being said, we have 2 minutes remaining in qualifying for the bronze class drivers, and the drivers from Silver, as you can hear that Antilla coming out to that Subaru. Yes, you will soon see the Silver class drivers lining up to prepare for their qualifying session. They should not be out on track, but they can at least line up by the 1 minute or the 11-minute mark. They have full access to go out by 11 minutes in this qualifying session, and there they go. As you see, Foley now relegated down, well, still relegated down into P3, still trying to improve as best as possible, but not getting his footing down where he needs to. But Fernando is improving on his personal best, but looks like he had a huge mistake there in sector 3, because there was no actually no improvements at all in that final sector. But Foley still looking to see where he can fit in here this evening. Gomez has called it a day and is in the pits, as well as Leroy and Adriano. So the only 2 drivers out now, or 3 drivers, are Kadim Mohammed, who is sitting in provisional pole for the bronze class drivers, as well as Mr. Fernando Gonzalez, who should be on his final lap now to finish up and well, see where he can, if he can improve. But there goes Foley coming around the final corner to pass the start finish line. Did not improve, but he has 1 more lap, ladies and gentlemen. 25 seconds remaining. Kadim extends that gap to 1:16.447, and he has 1 more lap as well, and then they will be heading back to the pits. And the Silver class drivers now should be lining up to get their runs underway. We'll take a look, but once that 10-minute mark goes, you will see them driving out. And let's just take a quick look here. As you've seen the drivers there, I believe that's Roger Keller that should be leading the pack. No, it's not, but we'll figure out who it is in a moment's time. But Rohir Robinson there is in P2. Raven Plummer, my apologies, was one in P1 for the Silver class drivers. So they themselves will be starting off, getting their tires warm. That's I believe that's either Daniel Velez or Mr. Estefano Barrera in that Corolla right behind. So we'll take a look soon. And then Mr. Massive, who's someone who we haven't seen in quite some time, but looking forward to seeing what he can bring out. But as the drivers from the bronze class finish up their laps, comes around the final chicane is Mr. Foley, as he heads down to pass the start finish line, but will not be improving. So he will be heading back to the pits now, and bronze qualifying has now come to a conclusion. And ladies and gentlemen, it is now qualifying time for the silver class drivers. Right now, sector 1 not looking too rapid for Raven Plummer. She's about 2/10 down on Mr. Robinson, right behind Daniel Velez as well in the third position right now. They will be looking to see where they can improve, but Rohir Robinson now setting a blisteringly fast sector 2, so he looks like he's going to be the first man to take pole position for the silver class drivers, as you see him right there behind Miss Raven Plummer. But there he goes through the final chicane. Raven Plummer should be passing now. Looks like she didn't get the best runner out, so she might have conceded that lap. And there goes Rohir Robinson with the first time of the evening with a 1:16.298, but quickly dismissed by Mr. Massive in that Ford Focus. Kurt Musk in his, not his debut, but his return here in CTCC. Looking forward to seeing what it is that he has in store for these drivers here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, he's looking rapid already, and that is something that we've gone and gotten accustomed to. But Rohir Robinson already 3/10 up in sector 1, looking like he's going to make a huge improvement here and see where he can gain back that pole position. Dominic Charles, though, we will watch to see where he is, because right now the field is a little bit all around the place. Jaden Harrison as well, still in the pits. So we'll definitely want to see what happens there with him. But right now, Kurt Moss 25.514 in sector 1, 22.3 in sector 2. So versus Rohir Robinson with a 25.5 and 22.122. So the times are going to be close, but he might be the first driver in the 115s here this evening. So we'll definitely look to see what he can bring out as he comes around the final corner and the final chicane to set his first lap or second lap, 1:16.098 for Mr. Robinson. Kurt Moss there, torrid third sector. My apologies, not torrid, it was invalid because he set a 1:15.7, so that could have been pole, but it looks like maybe by the chicane he did lose out and had to concede that position. So again, times looking rapid, 1:16.455. The times are about 1:16 to flat to 1:16.9 between P1 and P7. So P1 separated right now by 9/10. Dominic Charles there already setting a lap on fire with a 1:16.166. So we'll ride along board with him and see what he can bring. He does have a little bit of traffic there in front of him, but we'll see that in a moment's time. But Jaden Harrison is one of those drivers that has, or typically leaves it for that last minute. He is on his out lap now, so we'll take a look on his next lap once he clears. I believe he's going through the final chicane right now, but as you see in the top left corner, we have 5 minutes remaining. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a halfway point in the silver class qualifying. Jaden Harrison should be starting his flying lap right now, so as soon as we finish with Dominic, we'll definitely take a look. But Rohir Robinson 1:15.5, Daniel Velez there right behind with a 1:16.036. So he is looking like he's trying to set a time here this evening and try and get back up in that top step of the podium. Stefano Barra, the race winner of last season, is now sitting in P5, so we'll continue to ride along board and see what can be done there. But as we see Mr. Dominic Charles now coming through that final chicane, again a little bit of traffic there, but again you can use that slipstream. The slipstream here is very powerful, and there you see it, 1:15.413. sector 3 was the moment that got him to truly just take and snatch that position away from Mr. Robinson. And we have 4 minutes remaining. Qualifying is now, ladies and gentlemen, seriously on the way. And Jaden Harrison here now starting his next lap now, 1:16.727. Will he be able to improve? Right now sits in P8 and needs to improve because he is sitting far from the points positions, and as you've seen it in the past, these drivers can be very rapid. He has one bronze class driver in front of him in Kadi Mohammed, so this is going to be something that he does not want to be stuck behind, but him in that very brilliantly themed Jamaican or JSRA themed Toyota Hyundai Elantra, my apologies, with the fart noises. You see him pushing, is improving in sector 1 on his personal best, but still, as you can see, it almost sliding the rear end of that Hyundai Elantra. He will be continuing to push as far as he can until the wheels fall off, but right behind him is Rohey Robinson and Daniel Velez, so we'll take a look at them in a moment's time, because Rohey Robinson again is improving in sector 2, so if he can bring that final sector, he can bring the fight to Dominic Charles. Only a 10th in front is Dominic Charles, and here comes Jaden Harrison through the final chicane as he heads down now, uses as much of the track as possible, comes out flat out and 1:16.2, so does improve into P4. Rohey Robinson comes around now to take pole position, and that is P1. Daniel Velez, I believe, was the next driver to come around and did improve, but not in position, just in time by a few hundredths of a second. Kurt Moss here now as well, just past the line, but not enough as well. But who is that? I believe that is Michael Thompson, and I will tell you in a moment's time. I believe that might be Roger Keller. That is Roger Keller, the Swiss driver, and these drivers need to get a move on to get in the top 10. But right now we have Dominic Charles improving with a 1:15.268, and that puts him on pole position, ladies and gentlemen. What a lap by him. Rohey Robinson invalidating that lap, going off track. Hopefully does not get in the way of any of the drivers behind, and there he goes. He will have about 1 or 2 laps remaining to try and make this this qualifying session count. There you see Mr. Estefano Barrera now pulling up, but we'll take a quick look. Jaden Harrison coming around the final corner is looking rapid, did improve in sector 1, did improve in sector 2, does improve in position. 1:15.6 takes that P3 from Daniel Velez, so now we have 2 Jamaicans and 1 Trinidadian driver on the podium, but the qualifying has not ended because Daniel does improve and goes up to the 1:15.848. Estefano Barrera as well, one of those that we cannot leave out, but 4/10 down right now, so he has some work to do. Kurt Moss now just passes the line, did not improve in position, but didn't even improve in his lap time either. But hopefully we'll see him moving up forward in the next few moments. We have 30 seconds remaining, ladies and gentlemen. Dominic Charles now coming around the final sector, and he did improve in sector 1. He did not improve in sector 2, and sector 3 was just basically breaking even on that time. Michael McNamee now comes around the final corner as well. Can he improve? And he cannot. 1:19.5 for the Jamaican driver. Raven Plummer is already in the pits, so Raven now looking like she's conceded, and she sits in P7. Riley Curtis though, but Dominic Charles, my apologies, is improving again, but we'll get back to him in a second, as Rohey Robinson as well, only 600 down in sector 1, and there he goes, and that looks like his qualifying done. There goes it for Rohey Robinson. Has to keep off the track. Who is that comes around? I believe that was Daniel Velez. Does improve on his time, but not enough to improve in his position. Dominic Charles now hunting. I believe Jaden should be in front, so we'll just watch to see where he can. But there goes Riley Curtis, the AC karting driver. 1:16.1. Is Jaden Harrison conceding? Yes, he is. So that looks like P3 for him, because nobody else is really improving other than Estefano. But there goes Dominic Charles, unfortunately there being impeded by the driver in Roger Keller. Looked like he was on a blistering lap to just cement that pole position, but still nonetheless looks, and congratulations to him, looks like he's cemented that position as the next few drivers comes around. Michael McNamee is promoted into P6, and that puts him firm from P10 into the top narrow to the top 5 positions. Dominic Charles now will be taking his cool down lap, but congratulations to him, because this will be his his pole position, and we'll take him along, or right along board with him for his victory lap here. But this is not the victory of the race, this is only the victory for qualifying, ladies and gentlemen. What a qualifying session that was. Dominic Charles sits in P1, Rohey Robinson in P2, Jaden Harrison in P3, Luis Daniel Velez in P4, AC karting driver Riley Curtis in P5, Michael McNamee in P6, Kurt Moss in P7, P7, Estefano Barrera in P8, Raven Plummer in P9, Kadeem Mohammed in P10, Roger Keller in P11, Christian Gomez in P12, Cooper Foley in P13, Leroy Henry in P14, Michael Thompson in P15, Venkai Adriano in P16, Tizwanta Haji in P17, and finally Fernando Gonzalez to rally the troops in P18. And ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 qualifying sessions to come, and you can see the drivers. We're hearing them. Well, you won't be hearing them, but I'm hearing them already planning their strategies, and they're getting ready to go racing. But you've been hearing Mr. Charles saying he could have gotten into that 14-second, but unfortunately being caught up in that last corner by Roger Keller. But that being said, qualifying is now done. Good luck to the drivers, ladies and gentlemen. We will start racing in only a moment's time. And ladies and gentlemen, the qualifying session is now underway. My apologies, the race session is now underway. Sorry, I heard them speaking in the voice chat, so I got confused for a second there, but the race is now underway. This is a rolling start. It is a virtual safety car. And ladies and gentlemen, we are now about to go racing, and it is green light racing. Dominic Charles does lead from everybody right now, and he has two Jamaicans from Team JSRA waiting to pounce on any mistake that he can make. Seems like Kurt Moss was one that lost a position so far, and there they go into turn 4, and you can see them side by side. He's right behind the Colombian is Mr. Massive, right beside Mr. McNamee as well. Jaden Harrison there going very wide as he's fighting there with his teammate, but Riley Curtis in P4. But there goes Jaden falling back now, right behind the likes of Luis Daniel Velez, and this has been what a start. This is a start that Mr. Charles would have wanted as he gets away. Jaden Harrison now being hounded by his Jamaican and has to chase the likes of Daniel Velez, now the Colombian, and the AT karting driver loses 2 positions in the first lap. What a start for Dominic Charles. Michael McNamee again lost 2 positions so far to Estefano Barrera and Kurt Moss. Kurt Moss moves up by 1, so does Estefano Barrera. This has been the fight to watch. Luis Daniel Velez there and Jaden Harrison already fighting it out, so they themselves are seeing who can gain an advantage, but Daniel Velez there loses out a position now. Jaden Harrison moves up to P4, and we will be definitely watching to see, because right now Riley Curtis chases Rohey Robinson, but guess what, Jaden is right there on the rear end, right there beside the likes of Riley Curtis, and then does make that move stick on the AT karting driver, and that is his move done, and will now have the likes of his Jamaican counterpart to seek and search out for the next duration of this race. But there is a likely chance that Daniel Velez is now sizing up his opponent because he sees an opportunity, but he also has his teammate right behind him in Estefano Barrera, so this is going to be a battle of the ages as the drivers continue. Michael McNamee has lost out 3 more positions, so he now sits in P9. Kurt Moss now in moves down as well by 2 positions, and Kurt Moss there is in the grass. And there we saw an incident there. Wowzers. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a great time to just mention, if there is a driver that you prefer, please feel free to send their names in the chat so that we can gain they can gain their driver of the day voting and gain a chance to win sim racing gloves courtesy of 7 Mile Racing, our new partner and great friend over in Cayman Islands. They were the title sponsors of last season, and looking forward to seeing what we can do for this season, as well as Ceramic Care, our league sponsor as well, who will be playing their part as well. But here goes Raven Plummer on the rear end of Estefano Barrera. So Raven Plummer now one that you will be looking out for, looking like she wants to push that Toyota Corolla through the corners, and there she goes side by side right there on the rear end of that blue Colombian themed car. So Estefano will have some work to do. Rohey Robinson is only 2/10 off of the likes of Mr. Charles, so we'll just take a look quickly at what's happening over there, because he looks like he's sizing him up for a move. This is the fastest section on the track, and he can try and see if he can make the move heading down now into the chicane, but there he goes later on the brakes. That is Rohey Robinson, and it looks like a move stuck. He did take the outside, turns into the inside, and that is Rohey Robinson moving into P1. Dominic Charles now into P2. Jaden Harrison has some work to do. Fastest lap there by Rohey Robinson with a 1:15.741, and he is looking absolutely rapid. Estefano Barrera though, he's losing positions as Michael McNamee now takes that position away from him, and McNamee and is that Kadeem Mohammed? Kadeem has moved up by 2 positions as well, so he's just getting into the fold as well to see where he can find himself in the mixture. But Raven Plummer looks like she's still chasing the likes of Mr. Michael McNamee and seeing where she can pounce to gain back that advantage. But there it goes, ladies and gentlemen, Dominic Charles and Mr. Rohey Robinson. Dominic has not given up that position, and they are fighting it out tooth and nail. Fastest sector 1 for Dominic Charles. He clearly has found some pace here. Will he try the same move that Mr. Robinson did in the last lap? Will he go for the inside? And there he goes, sticking in that slipstream, ladies and gentlemen. And again, remember, as we said, the drivers well, the cars here at this track, the slipstream is immensely powerful. And there he goes down the inside. And will he be able to keep it? And yes, he does. Dominic Charles now promoted into P1. Rohit Robinson will have some more work to do, and this is just drawing Jaden Harrison right back into the fold for the fight. Ladies and gentlemen, what a battle this is. Two Jamaicans chasing the Trinidadian driver. Good defense, good offense, and only 15 minutes remaining. And right behind them we have from Michael McNamee in P5 all the way down to P12. A train of drivers seeking after that as many points as possible. Please be reminded that we have the top 8 being sponsored. Hopefully we can even push that a little bit further if we can continue to get sponsorship through the year. But that being said, for now, every point matters, and every point will be going towards a good cause. So these drivers are not fighting just for bragging rights anymore, but they're fighting for true victory here in the CTCC. This is the first tour of first round of the second tour of the 2025 season. These drivers are at it tooth and nail for the duration. There goes Raven Plummer on the inside of the Colombian, and the three are going to go, and that looks very tight, but Estefana had to back out, lost a little bit of time there, and is now relegated down now into P7. Daniel Velez now sits right behind, waiting on his moment to pounce now as well. So will he be able to gain an advantage? But hey, this is turning out to be rather epic, if I do say so myself. Ooh. As we now have the two Colombian drivers back to back, and Estefano doesn't look as quick as he normally is. Daniel, they're right there hounding the rear end of that Toyota Corolla, for sure, trying to hope or trying to push along his teammate, or maybe put a little bit of team orders here sooner than later to try and see if they can get some time on the cars ahead. But Raven Plummer now as well, just hounding the rear end of that Ford Focus driven by the Jamaican in Michael McNamee. Raven improving in her time so far for the evening, but still it's about 6/10 off of the driver ahead. That's going to be very fun to watch in the next few moments. Jaden Harrison as well. This is a trio for the lead, 12.5 minutes. Maybe this is a time where they just decided they're all on hard tires, so maybe at this point just keep it the status quo until the ending portion of this race. You might see some team orders here between Jaden and Rohit, because Jaden closer to Rohit and Rohit is to Dominic, and there you seen it, a little bit of team orders. It seemed that Rohit just opened the door and allowed Jaden to move forward, and this is the team racing that you're going to see for the season, ladies and gentlemen. So now Jaden has gotten the full force to go after the Trinidadian driver. You might see a little bit of bump drafting as well here as the racing will continue. So 1.2 seconds between Jaden and Dominic Charles, 6/10 between Rohit and Dominic and Jaden Harrison. My apologies. This is going to be fun to watch. But right as we speak of that, Raven Plummer 2/10 off of Michael McNamee, and they are hunting each other. 11 minutes to go. I feel like this race has been going on for so much longer, but nope, it's been only 9 minutes and the racers are fighting it out tooth and nail. Estefano has the likes of his countryman in Daniel Velez right there behind, and it looks like it may have been team orders. We'll take a look quickly because the position has just been swapped out very quickly and not too much time was lost. So Estefano and Daniel looking like a little bit of team orders being used right there as we see them heading out and pushing through each other. But there goes Roger Kello now in the midst, maybe looking to see if he can pounce on the two is in front. But right now Jaden is not closing that gap to the likes of Ladies and gentlemen, not sure what had happened there. I've been commentating for the last 10 minutes, but it seems as if my mic got disconnected. But that being said, we are now in the 5-minute warning, and Jaden Harrison has found himself 3/10 on the rear end of Dominic Charles, and he will be hunting down the likes of that Trinidadian driver. He has under 5 minutes to go, and we've seen this happen so many times before, but Dominic has not put a foot wrong and is looking confident here in these stages of the race. So he looks like he is going to try and put on his typical quality of defending. Looking forward to seeing what he can do, but Jaden, we've seen him in the past, is very let me say persistent. But while we're right along board with him, we have Daniel Velez now, who did get in front of Kadim Mohammed and is now hunting down the likes of his countryman Christian Gomez. Takes a look on the inside. Christian has to go a little bit wider, does not leave the space entirely, did close out as much as he could, but still legal racing so far. And Daniel will be trying his best to see if he can make that move stick on the likes of his countryman. We'll take a look quickly in a second, because the gap between Jaden Harrison and Dominic Charles has dwindled again to about a 10th of a second. So Jaden now putting the pressure, as we used to call it. This is now the desperation zone, and there you see Jaden heading right there, pushing the likes of that Trinidadian driver in Dominic Charles through and through the chicanes, through the corners, and he will be pushing. We will get the 2-minute warning in about a minute, as the drivers are now heading there, and there you can see it train tooth and nail. Is Jaden Harrison under a 10th of a second is the gap between the two. That car is hard to miss, as he's there pushing. We saw Dominic looking like he could have done a 114. They are coming up again on blue flags, and again I'm sure Jaden is hoping that this will slow him down in some regards, or at least not inhibit him from a good opportunity to overtake. But there they come up as they head down now on Fernando Gonzalez, and there goes Jaden Harrison taking a look on the inside. Not enough, and that's Fernando did carrying into the side wall of the pit wall, but maybe a little bit of pressure there, seeing the race leaders there coming right behind him. But that being said, Jaden loses a little bit of time, and in 10 seconds we'll be getting a 2-minute warning, and that will give us about 3 more laps of racing, give or take, depending on where these drivers pass the finish line. So the 2-minute warning is now out. Jaden Harrison, this is his desperation time, and right while we speak of that, points positions are still up for grabs, because we have Christian Gomez, Kadim Mohammed, Daniel Velez, and Roger Keller all fighting for position here in the dying stages of this race. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a great time. Bring out or call out your driver of the day, because they can win a good opportunity to gain their own sim racing gloves, sponsored by 7 Mile Racing, our partners over in Cayman Islands, and drivers that you will be seeing coming in our next stage of racing from LMU in our endurance series coming up. But there is Jaden Harrison still hunting down the likes of Dominic Charles, and we will have about 2 more laps of racing, 1 more lap after this. Excuse me, as they head through the first 4 corners. But this is going to be the battle, ladies and gentlemen, that we will be tuned in on. The next one up is between Roger Keller and Michael McNamee. 5/10 is the gap between the Jamaican and the Swiss driver. But right now, the race for the lead, Jaden Harrison, purple sector 1, looking very rapid, like he can possibly gain that advantage. You can see him pushing. This is his moment. This is his moment to shine, ladies and gentlemen. He did lose out in the last series because of some unforeseen situations. He did finish in P3 overall, and I'm sure he would like to step up, but so did Dominic Charles, who was taken out so many times. Hopefully that's not the commentator's curse. But right now, Dominic Charles, Jaden Harrison racing it out for the final stages. We have 10 seconds to go, and then we will have 1 more lap of racing once they pass this start finish line, ladies and gentlemen. We head through the final chicane. Dominic Charles still being hounded. We have another set of blue flags, who does immediately come out of the way. Jaden Harrison now, well, my apologies, Dominic Charles sets the fastest lap of the race, and there goes the blue flags getting in the way, and there is Jaden Harrison right on the rear end, pushing, looking on the inside. Will this be his moment as he goes on the inside of Dominic Charles? A little bit of contact, but that is rubbing his racing, and the two make a little bit more contact, and the two are still fighting it out. No, there's a little bit too much, and there it goes. And that is Jaden into the rear end of Dominic Charles. And that is unfortunate. We hate to see it happening, but that is racing. But will Jaden concede back that position? Because there comes Rohey Robinson coming right back. Rohey takes that position from Dominic Charles. And there is the biggest incident. And that was caused by the blue flags. And Jaden Harrison, Rohey Robinson, and Dominic Charles, all three of them finding themselves in a dramatic finish here now as they come through the fastest sector of the race. And there they go, hunting down. I don't know if the drivers will be... Yep, Jaden conceded back the position from originally, so that loses 2 positions from him, but his teammate at least heads down now into P1. So that is Rohey Robinson in P1, comes around the start-finish line, followed by Dominic Charles, followed by Jaden Harrison, who has not given it up as yet, but still finishes off in P3. What a dramatic finish. That was... absolutely dramatic. Riley Curtis there in P4. Raven Plummer as well coming around now in P5. And then Roger Keller in P6. Luis Daniel Velez comes around in P7. Roger Keller in P6. Kadeem Mohammed in P8. Christian Gomez in P9. And Leroy Henry in his debut here at the JSRA comes around the final corner to cap it off and will finish off in his first race with his first points position in P10. Alright, safety car, safety car, safety car. Christian, slow down. Lido, bring the speed to 50, please. And a very chaotic start here. We had loads of trouble in the driver room there, trying to get everybody back on the way, as we even saw Mr. Estefano getting into an incident. But there goes Riley Curtis now to move up into P1, and he looks like he's going for the kill now. Finished P4 in the first race, made his moves early, and is now in P1 now, being hunted by the likes of Christian Gomez. Jaden Harrison as well has made his way downtown, and he's been walking fast, as he has the likes of Dominic Charles there right beside him. So the two from the first race find themselves again in the second race, and there they go. Jaden having to take evasive maneuvers there to keep from heading into the next car behind. Dominic Charles is promoted into P3, Christian Gomez into P2, Jaden Harrison into P4, Kadeem Mohammed in P5. Leroy Henry, who started on pole position, now being hounded by the likes of Rohir Robinson, who's looking on the inside. Daniel Velez right there behind, trying his best to gain a position and gain up into the likes of that in front of that Ford Focus. But there they see it now, the three. Daniel Velez now using Rohir Robinson to get through the course ahead. It looked like a little bit of contact there. Rohir did lose a little bit of time, but not too much, luckily. But we'll just take a quick look now as Dominic Charles now as well, trying to make his move on Christian Gomez in that BMW. So Dominic Charles there trying his best to try and see if he can push through and gain that advantage in the likes of the Colombian driver in front of him, Estefano Barrero, with another DNF for this evening. Please be reminded that it's the best race, well, best 7 races, so your worst result is not included. As you see there, Christian closing the door there, Michael McNamee as well disconnecting, so the two will be holding their DNFs this evening. But Jaden Harrison from well, my apologies, Riley Curtis from Christian Gomez, from Dominic Charles, from Jaden Harrison, from Kadeem Mohammed, the top 5 are hunting down each other and seeing who can be victorious here this evening. Henry again did finish in P10, now finds himself back into P10, started on pole position but not the best start that he was hoping for. But that being said, we'll be pushing through to see how many points he can gain. But there is Jaden Harrison again, just pushing the likes of Dominic Charles. He did not win the last race, but there he goes on the inside. Will there be contact again? No, enough room was left for both drivers. And Kadim Mohammed, who we've seen in the past, very rapid. Don't count him out. He's new to CTCC. He came in at the midway point, but there is Dominic Charles on the move against Christian Gomez. Little bit of contact, not too much, but Christian defending as best as he can. Jaden Harrison now seeing where he can sneak in to see if he can gain that advantage on the cars ahead. But him and Dominic Charles now fighting it out. Dominic closing the door quickly, cutting over. That is a move, maybe my move of the day by Dominic Charles, by cutting over in front of Jaden Harrison, but still gets a run on the likes of Christian Gomez right behind. Jaden Harrison had to sit and watch that one from the spectator view as he now goes to take that move, that position from Christian Gomez, and that looks like a little bit too much contact, but still maybe not too much. Yup, still he looks like he may have went off track there, and that gives Mr. Kadim Mohammed the opportunity to move up onto the podium step and see if he can gain that advantage on the Jamaican. But the Jamaican hasn't given up just yet, and the three are still fighting it out. 13 minutes remaining, ladies and gentlemen. And this is a good reminder of how the season started last season, and this was how the fighting was. It was early and very competitive from an early standpoint, and the drivers look like they want to bring that back in for the next season. There goes Kadim Mohammed careening into the side of Christian Gomez, and that promotes Daniel Velez now into P5, and Christian Gomez loses 2 positions now as Rohey Robinson as well comes around the bend to try his best to get to steal that position away from the Colombian driver. Jaden 3 seconds away from Dominic Charles, so that's not what he wanted. But as well, Dominic 2.2 seconds away from Riley Curtis. At the end of this race, ladies and gentlemen, the top 3 will be separated by a few mere points, because Rohey Robinson, sitting in P6, did take the huge points haul, but still will have a little bit of work to try and gain back as many points as possible, especially to close that, well, keep that gap from the likes of Dominic Charles and his teammate Mr. Jaden Harrison. But right now, as it stands, Riley Curtis looking very promising to take his victory here in the TTCC. He was promoted to silver class this season and has been looking very promising as he sets the fastest lap so far and quickly dismantled by Mr. Dominic Charles. 6/10 is the difference between the two. Daniel Velez, though, my apologies, has caught up to the rear end of Kadim Mohammed. So Kadim has slightly fallen off the pace and is about 1.5 seconds behind the likes of Jaden Harrison, and that is on true pace, because Daniel Velez now looks like he found his footing. He did start off in last due to having to come out of the servo, and well, so my apologies, he did not load his setup because he had to come out of the server to come out of the virtual reality. But that being said, he's made his way downtown fast, and he's now sitting quite comfortably in P5, hunting down P4, with P3 only about 1.5 seconds in front, and Daniel is looking absolutely rapid. There you see Jaden Harrison drifting the likes of that Hyundai Elantra. It's a good moment to point out Jaden Harrison does have this third most ballast, right behind Mr. Dominic Childs and Rohey Robinson. So right now Jaden Harrison sitting with, I think, about 60 kilograms, 65 for Rohey Robinson. But Daniel Velez there with 30 kilograms is right there on the rear end of Jaden Harrison, and looking like he's going to definitely be pushing to see if he can gain an advantage from the Jamaican here this evening. And there you see 1:15.748. Fastest lap of the race so far. So looking like single screen is working better for him here this evening with 8 minutes remaining. Daniel Velez now closing that gap to the Jamaican driver, and he is looking absolutely rapid. Rohey Robinson as well has caught up to the likes of Mr. Kadim Mohammed in front of him. 2/10 is the gap between them, but you know Rohey can be very strategic. But we'll just take a quick look at Michael Thompson, who goes around Christian Gomez, but still Christian holds off as Michael looks like he went a little bit too far throughout that corner. Rohey Robinson still hunting down the likes of the Bajan driver in front of him, Inkadi Mohammed, looking like he's just sneaking there in the slipstream, just waiting for his moment to shine. P5 and P4 still in the sights. 3.6 seconds is the gap between Jaden and Riley Curtis. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen, because I completely missed it, but Dominic Charles has taken P1 from Riley Curtis. At that moment, I definitely missed. I was applying a few balance infringements to a few of the drivers that didn't get theirs in the interim stages. But that being said, the likes of Dominic Charles now sits in P1, 1.5 seconds clear of Riley Curtis. Riley Curtis 3.5 seconds away from Jaden Harrison, and the gap between Daniel and Jaden Harrison is slowly, well, still maintaining, but there goes Rohey Robinson around the likes of Kadim Mohammed to take that position away from the Bajan driver, and that moves him up into P5 with 2 positions behind, or 1 position behind his counterpart, about 3.5 seconds behind Jaden Harrison. Jaden Harrison, however, is closing that gap slowly to Riley, so Riley needs to put the move on now and get away as quickly as he can possibly get. And now we're right along board Christian Gomez and Michael Thompson, as we see the rear end of Christian's BMW not looking like in the best position, but still the two will be fighting it out now in these next few moments. We have 5 minutes remaining, and we'll get that warning in only a few moments time. But these two are the closest battle out on track at the moment, so we'll watch to see what will come from it, as we see Michael Thompson there trying his best but still not close enough. But we'll watch and see and ride along board to see what can come from that, because right now the Swiss driver of Roger Keller is right there coming and closing the gap on the 2 in front of him. The final points position is P10, and the 3 will be fighting it out for the next foreseeable future. 5 minutes remaining. That's more than enough time to see who can gain a position. Mr. Cooper Foley from AC Karting as well will be definitely trying his best to see if he can gain up into the points position, so we watch to see what happens there. But right now Roger Kello chases down Michael Thompson, chasing down Christian Gomez. Who will be victorious here this evening? Only time will tell, ladies and gentlemen. as the racing has slightly cooled down now. It's another reminder, leave your drive of the day voting, give them an opportunity and a chance for them to win the sim racing gloves courtesy of 7 Mile Racing, our partners over there in Cayman Islands. Stay tuned to our social medias as well, because we have some plans coming up starting as soon as next week using the LMU platform. Next week Saturday we'll be starting our sprint series that will be a prelude to our endurance series, which should come with a load of sponsorship in the midway point of the season this year. So please stay tuned to our social medias at JSRA Official. If you have any questions, if you want to partake, please feel free, reach out and let me know. We'd love to have you coming on board. Jaden Harrison there flashing the likes of AC Karting, and so is AC Karting flashing the, oh there, I believe that's a blue flag that they are they're flashing. So that is Tizwanta Aji, who will be approached very quickly. We've seen him already come off the racing line and lift, and there you see him just comes out as quickly as possible and allows the racers to fight it out. But there is Jaden Harrison, who is side by side with Riley Curtis, a little bit of contact, and that does push him a little bit wide, but that moves Jaden Harrison up into P2, Riley Curtis up into P3 now. Daniel Velez not too far behind, looking if he can gain an advantage, but there again the blue flags, but you see him there, pulls out, and there might have been a little bit of contact there for Rohey Robinson, I believe, as we can see the gap extending more and more there. No fault of Tizwante, it looks like he just spun that car, so yeah, almost 3 seconds slow in sector 1, all because of that one incident. So that puts him on the back foot, but now we get the 2-minute warning, ladies and gentlemen, and Riley Curtis will still be hunting down the likes of Jaden Harrison, who is hunting down the likes of Dominic Charles, who has definitely just pulled away here this evening. There you see Daniel putting the pressure on now. The leader has 2 more laps to go, so 1 more lap after this and then the race will be complete. But so Riley has quite a bit of defending there. You can see him holding that inside line to try and keep off. Ooh, and that looked like a little bit of lag there, but keep off the likes of the Colombian racer. But the Colombian racer in Daniel Velez from Nova Racing is on the outside, and that will turn on the inside, and there is contact. And there you go. Sliding is Riley Curtis there, and there is Rohey Robinson, who now makes that move as well. So Rohey promoted into P4, Riley Curtis into P5, but it looks like it might be a ping issue, because I'm seeing a little bit of teleporting here from the Australian driver, so we'll check the ping in a moment's time. But ouch for him, but as we say that Dominic Charles now passes the start finish line to begin the final lap, lap number 18 here this evening. He has not put one foot wrong. He's been very consistent with how he's been driving this evening, and looking forward to what he can do here as he comes around to, well, almost about the halfway point of this lap, and he will hold off for victory here this evening. Could have had victory in the first race, did hold P2 due to that little drama infested situation there with Jaden, the blue flag, and Rohi Robinson, but right now looking quite confident to be able to just hold this off until the end. And he comes around to start head into sector 2, or finish off sector 2, my apologies, to start into sector 3 and head down now into the fastest section of the track, and he will just go, and this should be a cruise in, as he has not done one thing wrong. He's been absolutely epic, ladies and gentlemen. Again, a reminder, leave your vote for your drive of the day as he heads down now through the chicane. Did use a little bit more curb than I expected, but there he goes to cross the line. Dominic Charles in P1. The Trinidad driver finishes off with an epic result. Jaden Harrison in P2 finishes off only about 2.5 seconds behind Luis Daniel Velez in P3. What a race for those drivers there. Rohi Robinson comes around as well in P4. Riley Curtis in P5, a little very unfortunate there because he had such a brilliant drive here this evening in the first race and the second, but still a good enough points haul. We'll definitely be taking a look at that in the next few stages. Raven Plummer finishes off in P6, Kadeem Mohammed in P7, Michael Thompson in P8, Cooper Foley in his best points position so far in the JSRA in P9, Christian Gomez in P10, Roger Keller in P11, Thankai Adriano in P12, Tizwanta Aji in P13, Leroy Henry in P14, and Fernando Gonzalez to finish off in P15. We had some non-finishers in Michael McNamee and Estefano Barrera, as well as Mr. Kurt Moss. Unfortunately for them, could not finish the race. We did miss them, but that being said, it's been an absolute epic drive here this evening from the drivers. We'll take a look now with Mr. Dominic Charles now, who finishes off and does his victory lap with Jaden Harrison and Daniel Velez to cap off this evening. We're hearing now between Daniel and Riley that was unfortunately a lag issue, or a lag spike, which is what caused that incident between the drivers.
this. I can't. It's okay.
I was so sad, guys, because like I knew I had the pace. I could catch up with you, and then everything started to fall off. And then I said, okay, I'm going to stop racing on the load the setup, and then I had to start last, and coming back from last to third. Jesus Christ!
Dude, you came
Yeah,
from
that's
last
crazy.
to first?
Pardon me?
You came from last to first to third?
Hey,
Yeah, no,
you and Jaden going into the long right hander. Both of y'all gave me the.
I let go the beef, you know.
Man,
I sent Jaden after you.
I was watching the time close and I was just thinking to myself, this man really he sent Jaden. This was planned. This
Being said, after an absolutely epic evening of racing, Noble Racing leader, driver number 379, Daniel Velez, had what an, well, not the best first race because it seemed like driver 379, Mr. Daniel Velez, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro. How are you?
I'm almost as tired as you, I can imagine, because that was such an action-packed.
The start of the first race, Riley passed me, but I totally knew that I had more pace, so I was just like waiting, being consistent, and trying to save a bit of curse to the end. But then from one moment to another, the game started to almost a nightmare. I was just trying to survive. I was at one point that was 10th, and I said, okay, I can be first on the next race. I am just going to either stop streaming or just come back to the screen.
Yeah.
Then I had another crash, and yeah, I lost it. Then I was able to come back, and yeah, so that's the resume of the first race.
Okay, and then I mean, again, unfortunate because we did see you having some issues there. And then when you mentioned leaving the server or having to leave the server and then coming back, it kind of put things into perspective. But then the second race now, I just first I want to ask you how you felt, knowing that you couldn't just retake your position, but then having to fight back from last position and coming out to finish out in P3, the final podium position. We did see a little bit of an incident there between yourself and Riley. That battle was absolutely epic to watch, to say the least. But I did notice some lag there. I'm not sure if you saw it as well. Could you walk us through that?
Yeah, so as a resume, I am totally dizzy. My whole world is round and round due to the VR, being so laggy.
Yeah.
And yeah, rushing to come back, I forgot to load the setup. I just hit drive, and then I saw that I was on the medium, and I was, oh no, this is not going to work. I was trying to, like, if there was an option to, like, when like in real life that you can just like put the car up again and then, but this is not real life where you can, where you forgot something that you can do it. So yeah, I for real, I didn't knew how to feel like having to start last. There was a lot of happening in my mind, and then yeah, I saw everything happening on the race start. I have a cut from real penalty just to avoid everything that was happening around me, and I just knew that I have to keep going, and then from one moment to another, the stuttering was also happening, even racing on the screen. So I was so mad on it. Like I was pushing all that I could, and I knew that I have a lot more to give because I was losing time there. But when I saw that, I don't even remember when I was myself fourth. I just saw like, oh my God, I am behind Jaden and Riley. I can't do this. So I was pushing everything that I could. And then, yeah, with Riley, I saw it on the first race. That's why when he passed me, I just let him by because I did saw him a bit of lag. But on the second race, it was a lot. From one moment to another, he totally disappeared from my screen. And then he appeared again, but then he appeared behind me. So I was just going to take the turn,
Yeah.
okay, but then he appeared again to my left. So we have a bit of touch. It was not intentional at all. It was just that.
Right. I believe we saw it on the stream. We'll definitely go back, but for the most part, it would look like a lag spike. But nonetheless, brother, I mean, that was an absolutely epic showcase. Especially, coming from last position to fight all the way back into podium position. That, sir, was a heck of a drive. Definitely looking forward to many more with you, as a matter of fact, especially your interviews here in the podium position. So looking forward to many more with you, brother, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. I just really hope to resolve the issue with this game once and for all.
Absolutely. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Daniel Velez. He did an remarkable job this evening trying to finish off in the podium positions. Had a little bit of a rough start in the first, but came back and pulled through for the second. So congratulations to you, sir. And right now, seeing your name called in the voting. So looking forward to you in the drive of the day voting.
Thank you so much. This was awesome again, as always.
And thank you as well, brother. Always a pleasure to have you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and that was Daniel Velez. Epic drive from him again. We'll have Mr. Rohe Robinson. No, my apologies. We'll have Jaden Harrison, who did finish in third position. Yep, there we have him. Jaden Harrison, who did finish in third position in the first race and second position in the second, my apologies. He did an absolutely epic hunt down after being let through by his teammate, Mr. Rohe Robinson, and we'll get confirmation there from him. But it did look that way because we literally just saw Rohe just pull to the side and release the beast. But that being said, Jaden hunted down the likes of Dominic Charles up until the final moments, had a little bit of a collision, and the two got caught up between him, Dominic Charles, a blue flag, and Rohe Robinson just coming in to snatch that points at the final second, just like we've seen Mr. George Russell do in that Mercedes. But that being said, Jaden Harrison, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Jaden, congratulations firstly. You finished in P3 in race 1 and P2 in race 2. Your thoughts on that incident, that first incident, and that hunt down on Dominic Charles?
I think I had a very bad race because I wasn't really focusing the whole race. I didn't really expect Rohit to let me pass because he was faster that time. I don't know, I guess I just drove and yeah, I didn't really want to fight down it because I wasn't really focused, but I guess I had no choice, and yeah, I guess I took him out there, but yeah.
Well, either way, we did see the gap was about almost 2 seconds and then it just dropped below a second. We didn't see why, but we just assumed that there might have been a slight mistake for Dominic and then you just caught that and that went to your advantage. But then the second race, well, you can walk us through that. It was a little bit less eventful, but after the safety car, you just took your time. You fought them one by one. You and Riley got into a little scuffle there, and that was a good move on the inside of him. Slight touch, but nothing too dramatic. Any thoughts on the second race as well?
Yeah, it was very dramatic. There was a lot of drivers, like everybody going 3 wide, 4 wide.
Yeah.
And I think there's a few touches, but yeah, that only really battled with Riley. Yeah, I don't know, he was kind of lagging, so I don't know if that small touch why he got sent so far, but a little bit of lag, but yeah, it was pretty eventful at the start, a lot of post racing, and I would apologize to the drivers that I touched. I wasn't really focusing for any of the races today, so
oh no,
too good today.
And to be honest, we didn't see that. We just more saw you fighting through and picking off the drivers one by one. So a little bit of self-reporting there, but we'll definitely look through doing the post-race stewarding. But for the most part, congratulations, sir. It was an absolutely epic drive in my opinion, and definitely kudos to you, finishing in P3 and P2, and good luck for the rest of the championship.
Well, yeah, thanks, and it wasn't too bad, but it's not what it could have been.
Right. Yeah, because even the start of that race was very dramatic. But we do have a few new drivers, and this is a part of racing. So hold your head high. Congratulations, sir, and we look forward to you next week at Donington Park in round 2.
Yes.
All right, Jaden, thank you for joining, and we'll talk soon.
All right, soon.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was Jaden Harrison finishing off in P2. Now we do have Dominic Charles here, driver number 333 of Trinidad and Tobago. Just met him and his wonderful significant other, and what an amazing person he is on and off track. Absolutely epic drive here this evening, to say the least. That first race looked like he held it off until that moment's touch with Jaden Harrison. And then that whole scuffle, but I would love to hear his point of view from that event, and then we'd love to hear his push through for the second race to see how he took back P1 from Riley in a little past the midway point. But first, let's hear about that. Well, my apologies, before we even get there, the only driver who seemed to have been close to the 114, I'd love to hear his qualifying lap, because he had a purple sector 1 and a green sector 2, and was looking very rapid until bucking up the likes of the Swiss driver in Roger Keller in the final chicane. But I'd love to hear his censored thoughts of what had happened there. Dominic Charles.
First things first, let me put it out there one time. It was an absolute pleasure meeting you. That was so crazy to finally get to meet one of the guys from the other islands, especially, you as the head of JSRA. That was an absolute honor.
It was epic to finally meet you, as well as one of the top drivers in the Caribbean. As a little bit, ladies and gentlemen, as a little bit fan struck. But that being said, it was a pleasure as well, brother.
Yeah, I mean, I will never forget that. But as for that 14, yeah, it was gonna happen. It was right there. I was chasing it, and then I saw, I think it was a Corolla going through the last corner, and I was like, well, that's that. I was so excited for it too. But I mean, that's just how it goes sometimes.
Right. And you still held pole. I did see in the race you did a 115 flat, so that was close enough to the 114, even though you didn't rightly. I believe so. It was either you or Jaden, but I'll double check that one for the fans.
But yeah, the pressure was on during the race. I did put down quite a few low 15s. I mean, trying to run away from Rohi and Jaden, it's almost impossible, right? So that's, just had to do as much as I could.
That was my next question, because you and Rohi definitely had a battle there, where he made a move on the inside going through the chicane, and then on the immediately next lap you just took it right back, and that was such a brilliant battle, to say the least. But could you walk us through that battle for us quickly?
Yeah, that was the best pass I've seen in a long time from him. I didn't expect it, but as soon as I saw it happen, I was like, oh, new trick. All right, we're gonna do this. So I just put my head down and tried to chase him as close as I could for the following lap. And I mean, if he could do it,
you can do it. I thought
I could do it, so why not? And it just worked out. So I mean, that was sick. Honestly, I didn't think I could make it, but thank God for that.
Well, it's a good time to admit that, as I'm happy that it did work out. But in the next moment that you found yourself with him was in that little scuffle with the blue flag, Jaden Harrison and Rohi Robinson. Could you walk us through what had happened there from your point of view?
Yeah, that was at the end, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I got a little tap from Jadon. That was honestly a tricky one to call because I know I cut him off for sure. I can't deny that I cut him off into that corner. But I thought, you know, if I was the guy behind, I would have tapped the brakes.
Right.
So I just thought to myself, he has to give way. I'm already ahead. And then he didn't. And I certainly did not count for that. So I got the little tap and got put sideways. And then after that, I mean, I had no front end. So going around
Right.
the long right-hander, I tried to squeeze on the inside, thinking I still had the same grip. And my God, that car just washed wide. And that was the end of that.
Ouch. There was actually a second move that I remember now that you said that you cut him in the second race where you basically did was it a double overtake? No, it was a single overtake, but Jaden Harrison was right behind you and you cut, not illegally, you just cut into the corner, which Riley watched wide, and you cut over, and it gave you the better run to overtake Riley. And from our point of view, Dominic, it was absolutely epic. I'm actually trying to find it back as we speak, but you can definitely see it back on our social medias this week, because I, for one, will say that that was maybe my move of the day. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah, I thought about it for a while before it happened, because I as I'm trying to run away from Jadon, I'm watching the car ahead and just kind of trying to understand what he's doing, where I gain time to him, and I saw through the first sector, somebody took out the 200-meter board. So yeah, I knew he was never gonna hit the brakes the same way twice. Once it was not cut track, then yeah, why not?
No, I honestly, that was maybe the move up. Well, obviously for the season so far, but definitely one of my favorite between that one and the ones before between you and Rohe. Absolutely epic move. I think I actually found it, but I'm not gonna be able to show it. But it is. Hey, I'll definitely post it on our social media without a doubt. But Dom, this has been absolutely epic, brother. Happy to have you back, and looking forward to the next few stages, especially next week at Donington.
Yeah, I mean, happy to be here, and thanks so much for hosting. Y'all are doing fantastic.
Thank you for joining. Without you guys, we wouldn't have a product. So, looking forward to many more.
All right, take care, bro.
All right, brother. Bless you. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Dominic Charles. He did finish the second race in P1, finish the first in P2. But right now we have Mr. Rohe Robinson, who what evening of racing it has been for him. We just brought up the fact that he and Dominic had quite a fun battle there for P1 in race 1. Would love to hear his thoughts on that one, but he did finish off the second race in P4, so close back that gap or maintain that gap on the drivers behind him. But Rohe Robinson, what an epic evening of racing for you, sir.
Yeah, it didn't go according to plan, but
So,
yeah, I can take what I got. So.
well, so the first question to you, sir, is I think we know the answer to this, but when you pulled to the side to let Jaden Harrison through, did you think that was like a torpedo waiting to happen to give you that position at the end, or was it just your moment to send a driver rapid enough who actually thought you had the pace over him at the time, but you allowed him through, I'm assuming, and then the hunt was down for Dominic Charles. Could you walk us through that strategy, and was that the team strategy before the beginning of the race?
I think Dominic was surprised that I caught up to him after a few laps. So and he was extra surprised when I made the move on him.
Mm-hmm.
But he actually, got more focused and did back the same move on me.
One.
But yeah, I was after he passed for the second time when he passed me. He was pulling away a little bit because I was a little bit unfocused because I saw Jaden behind me and I was there thinking, should I let Jaden go or should I just focus on hunt Dominic down here?
Wow.
But I think the dirty air caught me, I guess, and my pace fell off. I was unfocused, but when I saw that Jaden really caught up and they were side by side, and then I saw the huge crash, then I would say the strategy paid off for me, but for the team, I don't think so. So a bit of luck. I think I had the pace to win as well, but Dominic was really fast. So I would have settled for second or third.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'm actually trying to pull up the highlight from that move. That might not come in time. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, brother, that was absolutely epic move. I'm sure you're smiling from ear to ear. I was even a little bit confused because it seemed like he conceded the win for some reason when you told him to go in the middle for the picture. But
Yeah, that was a mistake because someone finished before me, so I thought it was Dominic, but it seemed like it was a blue
blue
flag.
flag. Okay.
Yeah. So that's why I said, "Oh, Dominic, go in the middle." So I
Right.
didn't know actually.
Okay,
And
understood now.
yeah, after the crash, I was just trying to pass before they could recover. I think Jaden was waiting, but I didn't know
Right.
which one was Dominic. I didn't know which one was
Ah,
Dominic,
okay.
and I was forced off the track. So I tried to get on the track as quickly as possible, and I didn't know I won actually. I was surprised. I thought I came second.
Well, then in the second race, it was a little bit more dramatic. And ladies and gentlemen, you can look on your screen. You should see the overtake that was Rohe on Dominic Charles heading into the final chicane and onto the start finish. What a move that was. And unfortunately for him, right after did come the retort from Mr. Charles. But that being said, it was an epic run. Up until the second race, it looked a little bit more dramatic for you there. You had a little bit more drama fighting through the field, but again, you just be as patient as you can be, and you just very strategic. We've noticed on so many occasions. Finishing up in P4. How did the second race go for you? I know you might be complaining a little bit there.
Yeah, I should because I was hunting down Daniel and Curtis Riley.
Right, and the blue flag
And
spun.
yeah, when I finally got into the slipstream of Daniel, I saw that he was impeded by a blue flag, and then he spun in front of me. I didn't have anywhere to go.
Right.
I lost maybe like 5 seconds to Daniel,
I remember
and I
seeing
was
it. Yeah.
surprised that I caught up to the end as well. So it's now a question of what if, I guess.
Right. And unfortunately, we are gonna have to go over the blue flag rules a little bit more. That one was unintentional based on what we saw. It looked like he was trying his best to get out of the way, but that can still lead to issues more than it working out in everybody's favor. But nonetheless, brother, it was an epic drive from you from both races and good damage limitation to finish off in P4. You should be able to maintain your lead from there. So congratulations, man, and looking forward to seeing you next week at Donington.
Oh yeah, not my best track, but I'll try.
That's what you said for every race, and then you end up on the podium. So,
No,
any
if
final
it
thoughts?
rains,
Uh-huh.
if it rains at Donington, then maybe
You have a
I'll have
chance.
a
Well, brother, it's always a pleasure talking to you. And looking forward to seeing what you can do next week, even though you claim you won't be on your top form. I typically know the truth that will come from it. So thank you so much, Rohit, and congratulations, brother, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much.
And thank you too. And ladies and gentlemen, that does bring our interviews to the end. That was driver number 10. Mr. Rohey Robinson did win race 1, came P4 in race 2. Epic showcase from him this evening, and from all of the drivers, even the new ones who just came in. Congratulations to all. We thank you for spending your Friday evening watching and taking part. Again, leave your votes for driver of the day. We're seeing Daniel Velez, we're seeing Jaden Harrison, and we're seeing Mr. Dominic Charles. So please, ladies and gentlemen, leave your votes in the chat. Give them their opportunity to win at the end of the season. Their chance at some sim racing gloves, courtesy of our partner over in Cayman, 7 Mile Racing. What an absolutely epic debut race this has been for the second tour of the season. Looking forward to so many more as we head down into race 2 next week at Donington Park. Please stay tuned to our social medias for all of our information, especially with the season to come and with the plans that we have in store, especially for LMU and our sprint series. The next few rounds of the Caribbean Touring Car Championship. If you want to join us, please feel free to send us a DM at JSRA Official on Instagram, as well as you can join our Discord community. We have now eclipsed 2,000 Discord members and looking to continue to grow every day. And as we improve sim racing in our country, our region, we try to improve not just our local talent, but everybody who comes involved. We're making friends throughout the region, throughout the country, throughout the world, and we're looking forward to meeting more and more persons as the year prolongs. So congratulations to the drivers. Thank you for staying tuned, and this has been the end, or this does bring us to the end of the stream. Thank you so much for watching. I've been your host, Mr. Stephen Stewart, and I'll see you again next week for round 2 at Donington Park.